How many cold approaches in the street do you need to get a date, or to sleep with a woman, or to get into a new relationship? Is it even worth talking more to a woman who shows you lukewarm interest instead of enthusiasm? How about mixed signals? Can you overturn that energy to turn a girl who is a maybe into a yes? Does cold approach even work, and is there a point talking more to a girl if when you start the conversation she just gives you lukewarm energy? In fact, I really wanted to get the answer to all those questions, and I recorded my last 100 approaches. I kinda saw you look at me there, so I was like, I'm gonna say hi. Maybe she's a fun person. I can tell by your smile you have the vibe of a fun person.
Oh, thank you. That's so
Yeah. Are you from Australia?
I'm not. Why do you think that's true?
You have freckles. Excuse me. Hi. Hello. Hi. I saw you go up the stairs. Very brave, by the way. I divided every step of the conversation in different stages, and I recorded all the outcomes. I recorded the specific point when girls I would approach would exit the conversation. I'm going to explain to you exactly how I came up with all that data so that you can see clearly how the outcome makes sense. And I really recommend you stay till the end of the video because one of my experiments turned out really surprising. So at first I made this experiment and I made this video to prove a point because I am literally tired of everyone calling themselves a pickup artist, a dating coach, while actually nobody ever records their results. So I'm making this video to set the record straight. If you're like me and you trust hard cold data over feel-good vibes, you're going to like this video. So I want to start by laying down the rules of my experiment. It's very hard to get unbiased data when doing such an experiment, so keep in mind that my personal preferences do influence the experiment. So while I'm very genuine in my approach, still take it with a grain of salt. This is me. I'm 32 years old. I ran this experiment in Bangkok, speaking English exclusively. I picked Bangkok because it's a very international city and you can literally meet people from all over the world at any time of the day. For this experiment, I met women on the street during the day only, mostly around the biggest public transportation hubs of the middle of the city because those places have the most foot traffic. In terms of distribution, I would say that 50% of my approaches were local Thai women, 20% were Western women from either Europe or America, and the remaining 30% were women from over the rest of the world. So basically, I only approached normal working girls, expats, and travelers. I made a point to only approach women that I found at least cute enough to go on a couple of dates with to keep the data as genuine as possible. I did not go deeper into culture profiling because that's not the point of the video, but understand that here in the data you have cultures from everywhere around the world. That said, most women I did end up with were not local women. When I go over the results, I will point out where I think culture plays a role and makes a difference. In terms of the process I used to approach them, I went direct, starting with a compliment and leaving as soon as the girl signaled that she wanted to end the conversation. I see you there and I think you're very cute with the gym outfit. Oh, it's cool. Don't worry. Take it easy. I also cut conversations short if after 2 to 3 exchanges the girl I was talking to was dismissive, mean, or unreasonably difficult. I can't tell if you're making fun of me or not, to be honest.
Okay. We'll take it how you take it, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah.
I will elaborate more on that later because it's actually a key finding in this experiment. And one last rule here, I do not go on instant dates. I meet a girl, I take her contact, and 2 to 3 days later I ask her out again on a proper date. Anyways, enough for the introduction, time to jump into the data. So I'm gonna start with the results because I know this is what you guys came here for. Out of 100 approaches, I ended up sleeping with 3 women. If you're used to meet women in public, those odds should not really surprise you, and they should actually sound quite optimistic. For an experienced day gamer, a guy was used to approach women in public, the odds are usually 1 out of every 50 approaches. When it comes to meeting people, 100 approaches is not enough to account for the huge variance that there is in interpersonal dynamics. But still, it gives a fair idea of what to expect. I can tell you, bro, if you ever meet a guy and he tells you that he sleeps with 1 out of every 10 women he approaches, he's either lying to you or he doesn't really consider an approach the same thing that I consider an approach here. For the sake of the experiment, here it's an approach as soon as we say hi to the girl. Excuse me, hello, hi, girl with the bread. Can you speak English a little bit? Okay, bye. Not gonna lie, I'm pretty happy to see that as a dating coach myself, I made it work with roughly 1 out of every 30 girls I met. The couple of times I've recorded my odds in the past, it was usually closer to 1 out of every 45 approaches that I do. What's truly interesting to me, in my opinion, is not the results, but it's the drop-off between stages before the date. You can see that about half the women I approached did not want to talk to me whatsoever and rejected me very early. For example, when I approach a girl, I say, hi, I just saw you there, and before I have even time to finish my sentence, she's already gone. Excuse me, hello. Hi, I saw you there. Can you speak English? That's quite a huge drop-off, and I blame this on the fact that I am approaching girls in English in a place where it's not their native language. I don't have exact data on this, but honestly I don't think the ratio is as bad when you approach girls in a language that they speak natively. The next very interesting thing is that I closed less than half of the girls who actually wanted to have a conversation with me. Now this is probably the biggest point of disagreement this video will create. Generally in the seduction community there is this idea that you should be able, if your skill is good enough, to get with 100% of the women you start a conversation with. The idea there is that eventually you will convince her to sleep with you with enough effort, skill, and time. And while the premise is true in practice, it falls apart for most guys as soon as you introduce standards in the equation. Simply because closing every single woman you talk to just assumes that you even like yourself every single woman you say hi to. Now, I understand if you don't have dates right now and I'm telling you that you should not even try with most of the women that you approach and you just want to get laid, you're gonna tell me, okay bro, you're not gonna listen. I get it. But once you start having a couple options with women, you need to start valuing your time and you need to start filtering the girls that you approach. This is also why I slept with all the girls I went on a date with, because my qualification process earlier just removes from the funnel all the girls who don't really like me or the girls I don't really like. So I think that's probably the point of the video that's going to create the most disagreement, because personally I like to front load rejection, so I don't go on dates with girls if nothing can happen. Maybe I'm older now, but I like to value my time and my energy. So on one hand, it's important to not be reactive if a girl is a little bit mean to you, but on the other hand, if you see a pattern of the girl doing things that you don't like, you don't need to continue the conversation. The best middle ground I found between ego and genuine bad energy comes from something called game theory. Actually, it has nothing to do with dating, even if it's called game theory. That's a psychological model that's been proven by a lot of studies by many people way smarter than me, and basically the idea is that the most efficient way to cooperate with another human being is to lead with good vibes, then to forgive them when they give you bad vibes. But if you see a repeated pattern of bad energy, then you totally stop giving your positive energy until they start giving positive energy back again. So if you're not sure how to filter girls you meet, my advice is to go for a 3 strikes system. The first time she's being sassy, okay, you let it slide, you play with it, you pass the shit test, as they say. The second time she's being dismissive, you call her out on it in a playful way, but the third time she does it without good vibes in between, you leave. Game theory shows that when people have a pattern of non-cooperation, giving them more time and patience does not usually change that outcome.
I'm from America.
Alright,
that's cool.
What can you guess?
Okay. No.
No, I'm from France actually.
Oh, oui, oui.
I can't tell if you're making fun of me or not, to be honest.
Okay. We'll take it how you take it, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah.
And even funnier than that, it actually only changes the outcome in people who are insecure about themselves. So if you keep giving your good energy to a girl who's giving you bad energy, either you end up with a girl who's quite insecure or you end up with a girl who does not respect you. And on top of that, studies also show that a person doesn't get more agreeable the longer you know them, the longer you date them. So I went on a tangent a little bit, but I really wanted to explain why I front load my rejections and why the results look like this. This way to meet women is more efficient if you're someone who's quite busy. If you want to dedicate 100% of your time to getting better with meeting women right now, just forget about it. Talk to girls as long as they are talking to you. Now this also correlates with another experiment I did in the past, and this deserves a whole video in itself, but the gist of it is that talking to girls more past them showing disinterest never turns that around. Now that's a deep topic, and when we're talking about signs of disinterest, it also has a different definition for everyone, so I don't want to go too deep, but the point is talking to girls for longer and being slower does not meaningfully get you more results. You can be getting with 100% of the girls you meet with 100% of the effort, or you can be getting with 80% of the girls you meet with 10% of the effort. Again, your strategy depends on how busy you are and where your focus is right now. But in general, it's kind of counterproductive to put 100% of your energy on meeting women, because usually they can feel it and it comes off as a little bit needy to them. My point here is that dating is extremely simple and you can make it very easy, very not time consuming when you know what cues to look for. Moving on to the next stage, what's left now is the conversion rate from text to date. There, the drop-off for most guys is usually going to be harsher than mine, because again, we qualify girls very hard when we first meet them, and here we only lose about half, which is quite normal. It's all those situations where you met a girl and she had a great time meeting you, the vibe was high, you spiked her emotions a couple of times, she laughed hard, she invested in the interaction, but then after over text, there was this period, this gap where she went back to normal life, you are not her focus anymore for a couple of days, and maybe life just happened. Maybe her ex texted her, or maybe she suddenly had a lot of work to deal with, and emotionally you are just gone. The timing was just unfortunate, but then again, that's real life, okay? This is just totally normal. If you have the opportunity to meet a girl and to remove this bridge through text, like for example, you meet a girl on the street, she has time, you have time, you ask her out for a coffee right now, this stage is just removed, so your odds are going to go up. Same thing if you meet a girl at a party, it's way more efficient to try to bring her back home after the party than to take her number and to text her for 3 days to ask her again on a date. Beat the iron while it's hot. So I hope this video gave you a proper overview of what it's actually like to cold approach women during the day, in particular in a very international city. The experiment shows that the quote-unquote success rate is pretty low overall, and that's given you know how to do it well. That being said, low odds, and yes, it's a numbers game, well, that's still a bit just watching pretty girls go by and doing nothing. If you want to be realistic and put this into perspective, it takes about a month of doing 10 approaches per week to add at least one new girl into your life. If you would like to incorporate being able to cold approach women you meet during your everyday life like this, but you're not sure how to get there on your own, you can start with the free training right below this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, like and subscribe if you like what you just watched, and I will see you guys next time.